All right, happy now to welcome in Gloucester Mayor Greg Verga, who has been in our MSO studios before, but not in this capacity. And Mr. Mayor, welcome and congratulations once again.
So thank you, Rick. Good to be talking to you again.
It is. I really appreciate it. And such a wild summer. You've been extremely busy in your first year with so many different things. I'd like to ask you, first of all, maybe for some updates, because the local news coverage has taken a hit. The newspaper staffs are down. Wicked Local isn't doing local news anymore. We've lost North Shore 104.9. So, you know, it's great to be able to talk to you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate it. The first thing on my list here to ask you about is an update on what's going on at up at Blackburn Circle, where that big wind turbine had a failure a couple of months ago, or a few weeks ago, I guess it was.
Yeah. I got a text like at, I don't know, 6 o'clock in the morning, letting me know that it had fallen off, and it was like, you know, one of those double take things. Like, what are you talking about? But where it stands today is it is privately owned by Applied Materials. They have asked us to send all press referrals through their press office, and we are sort of on standby waiting for updates. There's really nothing more I can add to that story.
Yeah, I talked with other local officials in the city, and they said exactly the same thing. And we're trying to get a hold of Applied Materials public relations as well, but so far no success. But thank goodness no one was hurt. And those blades, they're gigantic. All right, let's turn to the kiosks. We have a new system in place, and I put that word in quotes. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
Yes. So this is one of the things that we had to tackle when we first got here. The rollout started, I think, the November before I took office. There were a lot of issues. You recall they had ordered the wrong ones. They sat in storage for a while, and then when they went to install them, they realized they were the wrong ones. They waited to get the right ones, and then there was some other issues with software or hardware. Long story short, we've had a lot of stops and starts. I think it was last March that we said no more collection of kiosk fees until we get this figured out. And I can't remember when we got to the point where we said, now we're going to start collecting. We had a lot of work trying to get the software lined up, you know, the vendor that handles the online payment system. Let's just say there were a lot of moving parts that weren't lined up, and we finally got them lined up. There's still some issues. We meet, several staff members, department heads, meet every Friday for a standing meeting to talk about the status and how to improve it. So I understand the frustration people have. If one doesn't work, you can go to the next meter kiosk and pay. Reminder that the first 20 minutes is free, whether you use coins, credit card, or the app. The app is the easiest. There's a small fee that's added onto it, but you don't even have to go to the kiosk. You do it from your car. If you're away from your car, you need to add more time, you can do it from the app. So we continue to find ways to make it work the way it's supposed to. So just please, patience is all we're asking for.
I have to get my daughter to help me figure out how to do it online, because sometimes you go to, as you say, some of them aren't working. You go to the next one, there's a line there, and then you got to go all the way back to the car and so on. And I'm not looking forward to that in the wintertime. So I got to get her to figure out how to that app for me. All right, so that's a good update. Let's okay. We had, as we record this on Wednesday, the last day of August, we had a little bit of rain overnight, which helps a little bit, but it seems that Gloucester residents have heeded the advice coming from officials that we need to conserve water. What's the latest update with respect to the drought?
Right. So if people, well, obviously, if they're watching this, they have access to the internet. They could go to the city's website, look for past remote meetings, and check out the last city council meeting from a week ago yesterday, last Tuesday. Dana Martin from our water department did a presentation and had all the updates of where we stand and things like that. But we, as of today, August 31st, we're still on the water restrictions of only hand watering with a hose or a watering can between the hours of 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. And that was supposed to go through today, the 31st. We do have some suggested expanded restrictions that will probably be rolling out later on today. But little spoiler alert, it's probably going to be essential watering only, which means food crops and other things like that. So when you drive around town, all parts of town, you'll see brown lawn, green lawn. And I don't think it's raining on that one spot. So there are people out there who are just either not aware of the water restrictions or don't care about the water restrictions. We urge people to share those addresses. We'll reach out to them. We did send a letter to one condo complex to let them know their automatic sprinkler was still running, and they did change that. So we all have to do our part. I mean, it's a finite resource, and the amount of, I brought my raincoat today and I'm looking out the window now and it's sunny. So, so much for our rainfall. So it's going to take a while to get back to where we are. I mean, overall, we're in much better shape than, say, Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh boy, yeah.
But you know, if the drought conditions continue, it's going to be pretty tricky. You know, it usually by fall, winter, obviously, it recharges. But we just urge people, please do your part and follow the restrictions.
Yeah, this has been a real tough one. Great for tourism with all the hot summer weather, but not so good for everything else in terms of water. You may have heard the train go by as I live in West Gloucester.
Yes, as do I. Yeah.
And little problem with the gate on Washington Street, right by the main railroad station, the main railroad station in Gloucester. So what's the update on that?
All right, sure. Over the weekend, Saturday, there was some. I got some emails and there was some stuff posted on Facebook about the train gate issue occurring again, which started back, or at least started to get reported heavily back in July, where the gate would come down, it would go up, and people would start to go through and it come down again. And you know, it's, as you can imagine, pretty scary. So we through Senator Tarr's office. We've been working with Kiosks, the vendor for the contractor for MBTA to try to figure this out. They did some tweaks back then. Seems like it was working, but over this past weekend, it started up again. So we had some additional communications through the senator's office and my Rep. Ferrante's office, and they were down Monday to make some changes. So apparently, to alleviate traffic at some point in history, I don't know how far back. To as a nod to the city, they changed it so the gates came down and went up faster, you know, once the train passed. So what they've done now as of Monday is reverted back to the old way. The train's going to, this gate will come down, and until the train leaves the station, it's going to stay down. Because as it was explained in the letter Senator Tarr supplied to my office, they were calling it rollback, that I think that was the word, that when the train hits its brakes, it rolls back a little bit and that triggers the gate again. So that's why they're gonna have the gate just stay down. So when it finishes at the main Gloucester station, heads towards Rockport, then the train will go up, the gate will go up. And there were personnel from the MBTA there yesterday and this morning, just making sure things are working the way they're supposed to work.
Okay, and we'll see how that works out. As summer traffic will be letting up, I'm sure, a little bit. Speaking of summer traffic, I was so skeptical about the new parking system at the beaches, but you know what? I've been able to get the market basket on a Saturday or a Sunday this year. It's been noticeably better. How is it from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I live out in West Gloucester, you know, or at the corner of Essex Ave and Concord Street, and there were times where the beach traffic would be backed up that far. And now you can drive around right down to Atlantic Street in West Gloucester, right down Thatcher Road in East Gloucester on the hottest weekend, Saturday, Sundays, and you have typically no problem get where you need to go. Right. I've heard from so many people who live along those roads who said they didn't bother leaving their house. If they weren't able to get out by a certain hour, they would just stay because they would have no chance of getting back in their house. So the whole concept, we said from day one that there would be hiccups, and there were a lot of, not a lot, there are a handful of hiccups related to our software vendor. But overall, it has been successful because instead of having hundreds of people piling into Gloucester at the break of dawn so they can be first on the beach and guaranteed a spot, now they know that they don't have to rush it. They can leave at 8 a.m., they can leave at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever they want. Their spot's already booked. We had a lot of disgruntled non-residents emailing and calling when we first started this. But we did the outreach leading up to it the first several weeks ahead of the official Memorial Day on all the local TV stations, all the local radio stations, news stations, WBZ and the public radio stations, as well as all our local media. So we tried to get the word out as best we could, and all of our Facebook, other social media. And the word did get out. I mean, there's no question this has been a success. At midsummer, the dollars were pretty much on track to what they had been in previous summers. That's a good sign. We officially will shut down collecting after Labor Day, and then we'll have an end of season tally. The way I look at it, even if the number is lower, forget the COVID years. If you go back to like 2019, 18, 17, even if this year is a little less than those, the alleviation of the traffic is good enough. It offsets whatever we lost on beach revenue, because it just meant more revenue around the city because people weren't like stuck in their houses or stuck in traffic.
Yeah, good point. It's been noticeably better from my point of view, certainly. Now let's turn to business, Mr. Mayor, as we sort of wind down on this thing. You've got a couple of good stories coming out of Gloucester in terms of grant monies and something, a new pop-up idea.
Yeah, so we did we applied for a couple of grants. They actually were applied for before I took over as mayor. And one of them was for the pop-up down at the old Cameron's building on Main Street, which is now Action. There's the affordable housing above and storefronts on the Main Street level. There are two businesses that are plugged in there now. Create and Escape and Beached Goods. Those are the name of the two businesses. So it gives these, one of them already, they both started online. One of them already had a little presence in Peabody, but this gives these new businesses a chance to get into a brick and mortar situation and try it out. And I popped in the other day, visited the other day, and there was one of the businesses was there, a human being, and they basically are doing the business for both sides. You know what I mean? So they're able to share that cash register function. So this is a good chance for them to see if they like the way it is, that they can avoid the last security deposit and all the other stuff that goes along with starting a new business. And hopefully this helps incubate them so they're ready to move on for something more permanent. And it's also a reduced rent. And this is through a partnership with Action Inc. And Up Next is the name of the consultant we had brought in to help us with this. In October, two more businesses will step in. And we'll evaluate and see if it's something we want to continue and see if we can seek further grants or something we might be able to do in-house or with other local partnerships. So that's just one. The other one is the signage grant, another one that we had applied for last calendar year. And 26 small businesses applied for this loan, this grant from $3,000 to $4,000 to replace their signage. And it was, downtown Main Street, Roger Street, but also Magnolia, and anywhere in the city was able to qualify. Rocky Neck, West Gloucester. And we did have applicants from all over the place. There were like 58 applicants. And as I said, 26 were selected. The owners of, let's see, women-owned, veterans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color were given preference to this, and businesses that had been in existence for at least 5 years. So this one has, right off the bat, been successful. We are already looking to, if we can't get an additional grant, find local resources we can use from within the city's budget to fund this going forward. Because as I said, there's still another couple dozen that are out there who would like to do it. So,
all right, Mr. Mayor, anything else?
That was a partnership. I was gonna say that was a partnership with the Greater Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce. They helped run this program for us.
All right, we touched a lot of bases today, Mr. Mayor. Anything else you want to mention?
No, just want to urge people to, again, the water restrictions, we're all in this together. We got to work together. Schools are back in session, so drive carefully on the roads. Traffic is still a little crazy. It's still summertime, but looking forward to the Scooter Fest and everything that's going to be going on over the Labor Day weekend. Fireworks are on. There was something, I believe, in the paper about this. Fire Chief Eric Smith has given the okay for the fireworks to continue because it's being done by professionals. They're going to have fire apparatus on standby right at the site. It's going out over the water, because one of the things people will say is, well, we have a drought, but we feel pretty confident that we're in good shape. But that's for professionals with professional fireworks. Please don't drive to New Hampshire and try to do your own fireworks display over some dry lands here, because it could be catastrophic.